I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Smack 'em a gob, it's time for the only news that matters. And the late Paul Di'Anno was a force to be reckoned with. He was a true metal singer whose distinct approach was just right for the period he made music with Iron Maiden. Despite that, band leader Steve Harris had problems with Di'Anno's musicianship, which he thought would get in the way of Iron Maiden's success. Steve said, "I was in touch with him until a couple of weeks before he passed. Paul was a lovely rogue. He liked to annoy me by dressing up like Adam Ant, anything to wind me up. He liked to ruffle a few feathers. Let's put it that way. And ruffle he did. He used to call me Hitler. And that's funny, man. I'll touch upon that later. I've been called the Ayatollah and Sergeant Major, but Hitler takes the biscuit, really. All right, I'll just bring it up now. Yeah, there's a lot of rumbling online that, they call Steve Harris Hitler in Iron Maiden. I've read that from many, many different people. He rules the band like Hitler. I've heard that over and over again. And it's funny how Paul Di'Anno called him that. Anyway, Di'Anno would later take responsibility for his firing from Iron Maiden, as he wrecked his voice many times on the road due to too much partying with drugs and booze included. Paul's voice had a certain quality to it, Steve Harris said, a rawness, but he didn't look after himself. He had this self-destruct button, and I got the impression that he never really believed he had it in him to go the next level. I think there was an insecurity there. Yeah, this insecurity was completely absent from Bruce Dickinson, who replaced Di'Anno and immediately demonstrated his incredible singing to both the band and the crowd it attracted. Harris still had his doubts. He said, "I was very worried at having a singer change at that point." However, Dickinson managed to break through the last barrier in Harris's mind. "The fans took to Bruce," said Steve Harris. "It was an absolute relief, if I'm honest. And then the album went on to #1, and I'm like, wow, what's happening here?" All right, there you go. So yeah, I knew about this, that, they fired Paul Di'Anno because, it's understandable. Like, I'm the Paul Di'Anno guy, but I understand if Iron Maiden and Steve Harris had this, plan to make Iron Maiden huge, and when you have a singer that's partying too much and singing like crap live, that's hurtful, But to me, it sounds like Steve would have kept Paul Di'Anno in the band if Paul would have, been more of a team player and behaved like Bruce Dickinson does. But he didn't, man. And then Bruce came in and, I think they did 3 amazing albums with Bruce, man. Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, and Power Slave. Unbelievably awesome. But I'll still take those first 2, man. The first one and then Killers, man. I'm so lucky I got to meet Paul one time. Looking back, now, I've only met Paul Di'Anno and Nico McBrain because Nico McBrain lives down here. So I met him on several occasions. But, and I met Paul Di'Anno once in Jacksonville, man. And he couldn't have been nicer, man. Anyway, I love the Iron Maiden albums that Paul Di'Anno did with them, and I am going to rank them right now, alright? At number 2, I'm going to go with Killers. You know, Killers used to be my favorite one, but I don't know, man. I mean, I discovered Iron Maiden with the first album. I've told this story before, but why not say it again? Because it's so cool. I went to a record store, Specs at Westland Mall in 1980. I never heard of Iron Maiden before. I saw that album, freaked me out, turned the album over. They look like Judas Priest. I'm not going home without this. I know I went there to buy some shit. I forgot what album I was going to buy that day. I'd saved money, cut lawns to buy an album. And I went to go buy that album, and then I saw that. I was like, oh shit, nah, let me... And I was totally taking a chance on it. But man, with that image, that album cover and the way they looked in the back, in 1980, an album cover like that, how can you go wrong? You know? And I was right. Because I went home and next thing you know, I am blown away. When I put the needle down, I hear Prowler and Remember Tomorrow, Running Free, and Phantom of the Opera. It was a head fuck, man. It was really, you know, a game changer musically for me. This was my new favorite band, you know? Like when I heard that album, that was the best new band in 1980. And now looking back, yeah, I still think that's the best freaking album, metal album at least. I don't know. Maybe I did do a ranking and Iron Maiden didn't make number 1. But it should have. That's what I'm saying. And now that my Killers is my number 2 favorite Iron Maiden album. Now my number 1 favorite, well, I'll hold off a little bit. I'll keep you in suspense. And I'm just going to keep talking about how much I love Iron Maiden, right? I remember, man, that when Killers came out, and there's another story. I was at my friend had a tree house. 1981, it was a long time ago. He had a tree house that had a long extension cord going to the house, and he had a stereo up there. He had a little AC unit. It was a tiny tree house. You could not stand in it. You go up there and you sit. You can't stand it. It was tiny. And I was very young and I was getting very drunk. It was in the daytime. I was drinking a lot of beer. And they gave on the radio, oh, new Iron Maiden coming up. I'm like, what? And they played Rothschild. And I was like, oh my God. Damn, this band. I'm telling you, Iron Maiden's the best, you know? And, yeah. And then I remember that day going home. I was actually throwing up on top of garbage piles. Hey, at least I was nice enough to go to the garbage pile and throw up in the garbage pile, you know? Even drunk, I'm responsible. And I know there's a lot of Di'Anno fans out there that have this hate for Bruce Dickinson, where I actually don't. Yes, there's a lot of stuff he did I didn't like, but I love that last solo on the Mandrake Project, whatever it's called. That shit was awesome. And they just announced he's playing down here in Fort Lauderdale, and I've been in a mood where I don't want to go to shows no more. I'm going to Bruce. I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to break my little chain, you know. And the reason I'm going to see the Bruce Dickinson show is because I have never seen Bruce Dickinson solo, ever, you know. So, and, you know, I hope he plays stuff from Accident of Birth and Chemical Wedding, like The Tower or Road to Hell. But hey, man, if he just floods the shit with nothing but Mandrake Project shit, I'm more than happy to go see that, you know? So I may not be like the biggest Bruce fan like I am with Di'Anno, but hey, man, his solo shit, I mean, those 3 albums especially. Fucking amazing stuff. And yeah, I am going to go see Bruce Dickinson live, even though I shall say, all hail Paul Di'Anno. All right, everybody, the suspense is over. Let's recap my ranking on the Iron Maiden albums with Paul Di'Anno. Okay, at number 2, I said, and I still think this way, it's Killers, the second album. At number 1, the first album released in 1980, just called Iron Maiden. My favorite Iron Maiden album. So there you go, everybody. Thank you so much for watching The Only News That Matters. And leave your comments below what you feel about this. And, you know, what's your favorite Iron Maiden album? If it's not the first one, then I don't care. I'm kidding. Leave it in the comments below. And thanks again, everybody. Please subscribe to my channel. Ring that little notification bell. And like the video. Because that's really good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and the first Iron Maiden album. And smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.